What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Red Zone Room podcast. Join with me, as always, is 440 Sports. But today, I'm the Tailgate Podcast. But today, we've got a special guest. Last week and the week before that, we had Nico from Elite Takes. This week, we've got Donnie from Picknspreads. How are we doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. We did this, a few months ago, back in February or March, and I had such a great time doing it. I just figured I might as well come back and do it again.
Look, you guys love Picknspreads because our most popular video on our YouTube channel is with Picknspreads. So we're like, he's a great guy. He obviously knows football, and the fans love him. So we had to bring him back. And here we are. So we did overrated and underrated for teams. And we kind of pieced together last week for 40 and I. We kind of pieced together our thoughts on specific teams. But this week, we're going to really tie it all together. We are going to give our AFC and NFC predictions, standings, whatever you want to call it, for the upcoming season. Now, I would say these are subject to change, but figuring how it's July 6th when we're recording this, I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of change going on until the regular season. We'll hear new things with camp and preseason, but this is probably it. This is probably going to be somewhat of our final predictions for the upcoming season. So make sure to sit back and just relax and just watch the entire video, because we are probably going to mention your team, your favorite team, at some point during this video, and you're going to want to hear especially 440's take, because everybody wants to know what 440 thinks. So before we get right into it, you guys got anything to say?
Broncos are the best team in the AFC.
God. All right, here we go. We gotta get right into it. Let's go. We'll go around the horn. We'll just go everybody's 1 seed, and then we'll go everybody's 2 seed, and we'll just go like that right around. So let's start. Let's start AFC first. Who do you guys have as the 1 seed?
No. Do that last. We gotta go standings first.
Oh, so we're doing like division standings first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, we'll do division standings first. All right. Let's do AFC East first then, because that's the first one that popped up on my screen. Who do you guys have as the first seed in the AFC East?
I have the reigning champs, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, Diggs going into the second year, but their one big flaw was pass rush. They drafted two pass rushers, Carlos Basham and Greg Rousseau. Not high in Greg Rousseau, but I'm fine with him going to the Bills because Sean McDermott's a genius. The Bills are better than ever. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think we're all consensus there. I mean, the Bills are the best team in the division, probably the second best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I say you just roll through your whole rankings or the standings for each division when we get there.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
You can go ahead.
All right, so for AFC East, so I have Bills 1, I have Patriots 2, I have Dolphins 3, and rounding out the list is the Jets at 4.
For me, almost same here. I have the Bills 1, I have the Dolphins 2, I have the Patriots 3, and I have the Jets at number 4.
Okay. All right. So why do you have the Dolphins 3 and Patriots 4? Because obviously,
Yeah.
I'm going to take a lot of offense to it.
So, when I look at these two teams, they're virtually the same. They're virtually the same, in my opinion. Both have great coaching. Now, obviously, the Patriots, I think, have a bit better coaching. I think the Dolphins have a bit more talent on the team. Both have amazing defenses, or at least top 10 defenses. Miami upgraded their pass rush in the draft, which was huge. They got Jalen Waddle, who could potentially be the next Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying he's going to be, because I don't think he will, but there's a chance that he could be something like that with his skill set. I'm not a big fan of Tua. Everybody that follows me knows that I do not like Tua that much. I think at his best he's going to be Kirk Cousins, but I think that's fine when you have that good of a defense and you didn't really lose much in it. So overall, I just view it as talent. Dolphins, I'd have to give the edge to.
I think they're pretty close. I went Bills 1, Patriots 2, Dolphins 3, Jets 4. I think defensively they're pretty similar. I think I'm going to predict that the Patriots end up having a better defense this year. Obviously, the Dolphins were better last year, but they're on the same tier defensively. Offensively, they're pretty much two completely different offenses. The Patriots have a top 5 O-line probably and a nice little run game going. And they improved their receiving weapons. Obviously, nothing like the Dolphins, but the Dolphins, they don't have a good O-line. I'd say Gaskin's probably a bottom 10 starting running back. Not that he's not a little underrated, but I don't know. I just trust the Patriots and Belichick more than I trust. Not that Flores is bad, but um, I'm rolling with the Patriots over the Dolphins.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think both teams are very comparable, but I think the big difference maker is just the fact that I don't think Miami's going to replicate the 2020 year they had defensively. I mean, they led the league in turnovers, but no team, I don't think in recent memory, at least dating back to like 2014, no team has ever ranked top of the league in turnovers in back-to-back years because that's such a hard stat to replicate year to year. So I just don't see them being able to put up a performance like that again. I don't think they made that great of additions on defense to kind of justify the means. I think the Patriots made great lengths defensively. In addition to having Dante Hightower back, and if they can, reach an agreement with Stephon Gilmore in his contract, then I mean that's just the icing on the cake for me. And then, on the other side, I mean, I guess not the other side, but the coaching, I take Bill Belichick over Brian Flores 100 times out of 100. And to me, I just have Patriots over Bills. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about it though.
It's close. I definitely agree. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say the Dolphins are much better. I'm not gonna sit here and say the Patriots are like that much worse. I
Yeah, no,
mean,
I
I
think it's
expect these two teams to have about a win or two of
yeah,
like just gap, I guess, between
yeah,
the records.
I think so too. Do you want to move on to the AFC North?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Um, I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
So Browns at 1. Sorry, Ravens. Browns are better than you. I got the Browns 1, Ravens 2, Steelers 3, and Bengals 4.
Yeah,
Same thing.
I'm pretty consensus on that too. It'd take a lot of convincing to tell me that the Ravens are better than the Browns. I just don't think they are. I think the Browns are just better in every facet, honestly. Maybe except for quarterback, but the Browns are just the better football team. And again, like there's just not a whole lot more you can really say. I will say though, for people saying that since he's going to be better than Pittsburgh, please stop. It's just not true. The Steelers are just a better football team. Maybe not offensively, but definitely defensively and definitely with coaching. I mean, there's a big discrepancy between the two. So Steelers are definitely number 3, and I don't think. I think that the gap between the Steelers and Bengals is bigger than the gap between the Ravens and the Steelers. That's what I will say.
Yeah, fair. I mean, the Bengals suck defensively, but I do have to give credit where credit is due, and I have to admit that receiving core is terrifying.
Yeah,
I think it's terrifying for the future, but yeah, people that are saying the Bengals are better than the Steelers, come on, just come on.
just stop.
Now, real quick, I do want to say this though, real quick, and this may be a hot take. I think this is going to be the first year where Mike Tomlin has a losing record.
Really, you think so?
Dude, the Bengals and the Ravens are just too good, and the AFC is stacked. I just can't see them. I just can't see them doing that good.
That's what I said on one of our last podcasts. I said, I mean, he's never had a losing record. I think their ceiling to me is 9 or 10 wins, and their floor is 7 or 8 wins. I think they're 7 to 10 win team. And I had them at 9 and 8, but they do have a tough schedule all around and a tough division. So a losing record wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, I think they're overlooked a little bit, but I don't think they'll be in the playoffs or anything.
No, I don't think so. There's too many good AFC teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still think the Steelers are a team that will go 9 and 8. I don't think they'll go much better than that. I think 9 and 8 will be their cap, but I just don't see them finish. Like I don't see them going 7 and 9. I think honestly the only true records I can see them getting are 8 and 9 and 9 and 8. I just don't see them going outside of that. Just because I mean defense wins football games, and they're going to be a lot like Washington last year. Their offense is going to run stagnant at times, but their defense is going to keep them in games, and they're going to have good coaching that'll keep them in it. So that's gonna be Pittsburgh. They'll be boring. They're gonna try to run the ball, but that's them. Moving on to the AFC South. I think we'll have some difference here. We've been pretty consensus with the East and the North, but I think the South will raise some argument. We're kicking to 440 first, as his favorite team does reside in the AFC.
I could tell you now we're all going to have Houston at 4, Jacksonville at 3. You guys are going to have the Titans at first, and I'm going to have the Colts at first.
No.
You have the Colts at first.
You have the Colts at first.
I know Picknspreads hates the Colts.
Nah, but for real though, I mean, I like Wentz. I actually, I'm gonna say this on the podcast, and I'm gonna get flamed in the comments for this. I already know I am. After the 2019 season, I said Carson Wentz was the third best quarterback in the NFL. So that definitely changed after 2020, and I have my reasonings for why he was that good. I'm not going to explain it now because it would take a while. But if you looked at the numbers, he was unbelievable with what he had to work with. If he can get back to that form, which I just can't see happening, just because of how just much he regressed. But even if he goes back to half of it, I think they can put up a good fight against the Titans. But it all depends on Wentz, man. If Wentz can somehow get back into that MVP just form, I think the Colts are possibly the fourth or third best team in the AFC. But the thing is he going to hit it? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, but I also think that the Colts just team as a whole is a lot safer than the Eagles. So Carson Wentz won't have to run around like a headless chicken. He can kind of just like, be more of a game manager like a Phillip Rivers. I think he'll just be a better version of Phillip Rivers, in my opinion. So I think the Colts are going to be better than they were last year. They lost to Nico Autry. I don't think it's that great of a loss. But that was it. I mean, they signed everybody else back, signed back Marlon Mack, signed back Ty. And I just think Carson Wentz is an upgrade over Phillip Rivers. I think, he's obviously under his old coach, and hopefully he'll get healthy and have a good offensive line and run game. And I understand all of that. But I am a believer in Carson Wentz. I think that his best ball is behind him, but I still think a good, top 15 season is still ahead of him. I think he can achieve it this year. And I think if he has that, that's enough to win the division.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sick of talking about Carson Wentz. I mean, because nobody knows. And I just keep repeating why I think he's going to be good. So, I mean, I don't need to do that. I've said it so many times. But, I mean, bottom line for me is we went 11-5 last year with Phillip Rivers, who probably wasn't a top 20 quarterback. I can't see Wentz being worse than Phillip Rivers. I mean, I've been saying I think it's like he said, he doesn't have to play hero ball. He's got safe options. He's got a great O-line, a great run game, great coaching, a great defense, and receivers that he can work with. So, but I do think, I mean, we talked about it on the last podcast that the Titans kind of became overhyped. And as soon as they got Julio, everyone starts flipping out. Oh, they're easily winning the South. They're Super Bowl contenders now. I mean, I personally had them before they got Julio at like 8-9, and I think getting Julio doesn't make them go 12-5 and win the division. I think he didn't help their defense. The defense is still a problem. So I think they were a top 5 offense last year. Then they lost Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith, and then they were supposed to regress, but then they got Julio, so now they're back to being a top 5 offense, top 3, whatever you want to say. The offense is going to be probably a little bit better than last year, but it was already top 5. The defense, like we said, I don't think it got too much better. If anything, it got worse. But it's a below average defense.
I'll sit here and say it got so much worse. I mean, Titans fans are usually on my case for it, but I mean, I really don't know what to tell you. You lost Desmond King, you lost Malcolm Butler, you lost Adoree Jackson, and the people always say how bad their stats were. Well, another problem was you didn't have a pass rush. Your pass rush was a joke. And as a Cardinals fan, I mean, when you don't have a pass rush, it doesn't matter what kind of cornerbacks you have. If you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, he's going to sit there and stand all day and be able to get a receiver that'll get open eventually. Like, those are 3 solid corners. Malcolm Butler's solid. Desmond Kane in 2018 was the best slot corner in football. And Adoree Jackson is okay, I guess. But you got rid of all of them, and you're basically banking on rookies to be the replacements. Like, I like Caleb Farley, but injury concerns, and he's a rookie. Like,
I also just don't trust a late first round cornerback to step into a number 1 cornerback role in his first year. I don't trust that. I don't trust a lot of the Titans because they made a lot of changes, and also you lost your offensive coordinator, who was the reason you were a top 5 offense. So, you still have Derrick Henry and you still have Julio Jones, but I get that. But like losing Arthur Smith is going to be a pretty big deal. So I think we will see that unravel in some length within the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. I just think if you weigh the positives and negatives, I think the Titans had a net loss, a negative offseason overall. So I'm not high on the Titans this year at all. I don't think a below 500 season's out of the question. That's what I will say.
Texans again the number 1 pick also. I think we can all agree on that, right? They're gonna get the number 1 pick.
Texans, they already got the number 1 pick.
Gonna draft Spencer Rattler. I think it's gonna be a bust.
I forgot who said it last night, but somebody on the podcast, last week, somebody on the podcast said that the Titans are very comparable to the Cowboys. And
I said that.
Oh yeah. So that I think it's a very fair comparison. It's a offensive heavy
me.
that.
That was
Oh,
me.
you saw that?
When the trade first happened, I made a video about that. I even compared the divisions. I mean, if you look at the divisions, they're virtually the same. The Texans and the Eagles are both fighting for a top pick.
Yeah.
The Giants and Jacksonville have low expectations with just they seem like they have a good future, and the Colts and and Washington are virtually the same team. Great defense.
Yeah.
They have pretty good weapons, pretty good offense, a good offensive line. It's just can the quarterback get the job done? Like that's the thing.
The Titans are going to be in a lot of like 34-31, 37-34, like games like that. They're going to be in a lot of high scoring games. And do you trust them to win all of those? Because honestly, I can't confidently sit here and say that they will.
I will also say I think Julio is going to regress a little bit, just a little bit.
31 has injury concerns.
He's 30. Is he 34 or is he 33?
I was 31. Hold on.
Okay, so
He's 33 or something.
definitely 31, maybe 32.
32. Right in the middle.
When's his birthday? Did he just turn
February 8th. So he just
Okay, so he just turned 32. I mean, slightly aging. This is usually when wide receivers start to regress.
especially physical receivers.
Exactly. And I understand he's a freak athlete. AJ Brown's going to be the best receiver on that team still. I don't think any of us disagree on that. But
Right now he's not, so he'll still like.
not right now. But I'm saying going into the season, after the season, AJ Brown will be better.
Yeah, I could if you're telling me right now that AJ Brown is the best receiver on the team by week 17, you're probably right. Definitely do that.
I just think the Titans season is going to go I just keep thinking about that Browns game that was 41-35 Browns. I mean, they blew them out in the first half, but games like that, that's how I think it's going to be for the Titans, and then they're not going to win all those games. So
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, do you want to move on to the AFC West?
yes, sir.
I know that Pickens waiting for this. This man has made his fandom of the Denver Broncos like a personality trait at this point. I got to go to him first. What is your AFC West standing rankings?
So I have the Chiefs at number 1, of course. I think we can all agree on that. Broncos are number 2 ahead of the Chargers, and I don't think it's particularly close.
You don't think it's close?
I don't think it's close. 440, I saw that clip about the Chargers, and you got me on that train. The Chargers might be the most overrated team in football. And the Raiders suck. I'm sorry, Raiders fans.
Yeah, they're all.
Henry Ruggs is not very good. I've said this ever since he got drafted. I knew he wouldn't work because John Gruden's an idiot. I don't care if you have Darren Waller. Your team sucks. The Broncos probably have the 3rd most depth team in the entire league behind the Bucs and the Browns. And if it wasn't for Drew Lock, if they can get Aaron Rodgers in a trade, I'm not saying it's going to happen. If they get Aaron Rodgers, I'd put them as Super Bowl favorites ahead of the Chiefs. That team is ridiculous.
Ahead of
Bucs too? Yes, Bucs too.
Aaron Rodgers can't even get out of the NFC Championship. What makes it he can get out of the AFC Championship?
Because of how good that team is. I mean, I can break it down. That team is, dude. I mean, okay, just think about it.
Yes,
That
we know. Great defense, solid weapons on off. Yeah, I get it. Young weapons on offense. The oldest player, skilled player that's starting is Melvin Gordon, and I don't even think he's going to be the star running back. I think it's going to be Javonte Williams because I thought he was.
Did you see that update yesterday?
More reps, yeah.
Yeah, Javonte's literally going to be the starter.
Right.
Then there we go. The oldest player is now Cortland Sutton, or is it either Cortland Sutton or Tim Patrick? But I mean, dude, come on. Tim Patrick had a breakout season last year. Jerry Jeudy is already a top 10 route runner. Their offensive line is at least above average. Javonte Williams was the best running back in that draft. Yes, he's better than Najee Harris. Best secondary in football, no question. If you disagree, I don't know what you're talking about because it's not even close. They have a fantastic pass rusher duo, Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. I get Von Miller is 3,000 years old, but I mean, Bradley Chubb, last time he was healthy with Von Miller, he had 14 sacks. And the linebacking core is good. I don't know how this team doesn't get 10 wins.
Okay, here's the thing, though. You said it earlier about a different team. I think it was about the Titans. It doesn't matter. I think you said about the Titans about like their secondary and their pass rush, right? It doesn't matter if you have a good pass rush if you don't have cornerbacks that can defend, or it was something along the lines, right? Something like that. I don't see how that analogy isn't applicable here. I don't care how good your defense is. I don't care how good Cortland Sutton could be, because again, big question mark. Is Cortland Sutton going to come back after an ACL tear and be healthy? Is Von Miller going to come back after whatever year-long injury he had? Is Bradley Chubb going to come back over whatever year-long injury he had? AJ Boye, or is he still there? He's still there, right?
No, he's at Carolina
now. Oh, fine. They lost a good cornerback.
Yeah, their cornerbacks are Bryce Callahan, Kyle Fuller, and Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Still question marks, but still. Anyway, I don't care how good your offensive weapons might be, not even are, because they haven't even proven themselves yet. No fan hasn't posted a 1,000-yard season yet. And Jerry Jeudy had a game with 6 drops. So I'm not exactly putting all my eggs in that basket yet. So I don't care how much potential this team could have. All I care about is the fact that your defensive coach, right, ranked bottom 12 in defense last year, didn't crack the top 20 in either offense or defense. And Drew Lock is worse than Daniel Jones. And that's,
no, he's not.
That's
no, he's not. No, he's not.
He hates Daniel Jones.
Come
yes,
on. No, he's not.
Drew Lock is awful. He is so bad. I remember watching him versus the Patriots. Dude. He's awful. That guy just can't throw the pigskin to save his life. He's not a good quarterback.
I wouldn't do anything against the Patriots. What do you mean?
Here's the thing. Yes, the third most depth. I'm not even going to spot check it. I'm just going to go on your word on that, okay? Let's say they have the third best roster in the NFL, okay? If you don't have a coach that can call plays, and if you don't have a quarterback that can execute the plays that he's calling, then the rest doesn't matter. The other 52 players on the team and the other members of the coaching staff, that just doesn't matter at that point, because your two most important positions, your coach and your quarterback, both reside in the bottom 5 of their respective positions. So at that point, you have the worst quarterback in the division and you have the worst coach in the division. And we've seen time and time again, go to the NFC East, right? Daniel Jones, worst quarterback in the division. Their defense got them to 6 wins. I don't see Denver getting much more than that. I couldn't hear you. I think it was very quiet.
I said that Alex Smith was worse than Daniel Jones.
Alex Smith wasn't worse than Daniel Jones. He actually took care of the football, something that Daniel Jones couldn't do to save his life.
All I'm going to say is if Washington can make the playoffs, I understand it was a bad division. They got hot towards the end of the year. They beat Pittsburgh. I understand Pittsburgh was cold. But they got hot towards the end of the year. They got hot offense. What's up?
Washington has an offense.
Denver has a better offense than Washington. I know that for a fact. I would take
currently no. Last year, yes.
This upcoming season, I bet they do. And here's the thing: you don't need a top 15 quarterback to at least. They have a top 2 defense. I think the only defense that is better than Tampa Bay. And if Drew Lock doesn't work, they signed Teddy Bridgewater. I know we all hate Teddy Bridgewater, but unlike Drew Lock has the talent. He just makes stupid decisions. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have the talent, but he's serviceable to get the job done. Yes, and the defense is good. The defense is good enough to carry games.
Go back to New Orleans. He had Sean Payton as a coach, went 5-0, right? He only had about 30% of the playbook to work with, but he made it work. He managed the game, threw for like 70% completion percentage, and just made it work, right? He goes to Carolina. Matt Rule, solid young coach. Not going to knock him too much, but he definitely is not a top 20 coach yet. And Teddy Bridgewater sucked. because he didn't have the right coaching. So what makes you think that with Vic Fangio, who's a much worse coach than Matt Rule, what's going to make you think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be able to function in that new offense, his fourth new offense in 4 years?
Why I think that is because look at the offensive talent that he had in New Orleans, and then look at the offensive talent he had in Denver. I'm not going to use Carolina for example because
He's the best receiver in the NFL.
Okay, exactly. And that's my point. When he had the weapons and when he had the offensive line and when he had the talent around him, he was able to make it work. Courtland Sutton, I understand he got hurt. We need to stop. He had a fantastic 2019 season.
So did
just as well as me, Jerry Jeudy, besides Justin Jefferson, might have the highest ceiling out of any wide receiver in that draft. He's already a top 10 route runner.
Brandon Ayuk, but
Okay, but either way, Brandon Ayuk.
Not gonna.
Yeah, that's fine. But Javonte Williams, easily the best running back in that draft. And I can make a promise right now, he's going to be the best running back as a rookie. Not saying overall, as a rookie, he will have the best season because Najee Harris has no line and Travis Etienne has to split carries with James Robinson. So Javonte Williams is going to be the best out of all those three.
Behind what offensive line?
They have a good offensive line.
It's not good. It's
Garrett Bowles is good.
Yes.
Lucian, what's his name? The center from LSU. I forget his name. He was a rookie last year and he was bad, but he's not going to be as bad this year. He was probably the best center.
So here's what we're banking on. A player to come off an ACL tear, your best defender to come off of a season-long injury, your second or third best defender to come off a season-long injury, a center who was kind of bad last year to be a little bit better, in a few rookies who had a kind of promising last year and is hoping to get a little bit better. And on top of all that, you have a shit coach and you have no quarterback.
There's no way Vic Fangio is going to mess up with that kind of defensive talent. He did not have that. He did not have that defensive talent last year. He did not have Kyle Fuller. He didn't have Patrick Surtain. He didn't have these guys.
Hasn't played a snap in the NFL. Nor is
he's going to be fine. He's going to be covering wide receiver threes. He's going to be fine.
Bradley Chubb and Von Miller haven't played in a combined 3.5 years.
Chubb played last year and he was fine. He wasn't good. I mean, he was good.
He wasn't good. So we're banking on Bradley Chubb to come back from a bad year last year. On top of all the
other things, it wasn't bad. It was not bad.
You said he was kind of bad last year.
I meant to say he wasn't very great last year. Let me pull up his numbers real quick. Okay,
let me just pull up his numbers. He's supposed to be their third best defender, correct?
The third best defender?
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Fine. You have Callahan, Fuller,
and Simmons.
Look.
He had 7.5 sacks last year. It's not bad.
I just don't see how this team is much different from Washington or New York. Personally.
He played 16 games. No, he played 14 games and had 7.5 sacks. 9 tackles for loss, 19 QB hits.
How is this team that much different?
Oh.
What were we on again?
I honestly I don't remember.
I think I'm good. No. So, I mean, if I were to take a guess, I'd say Denver gets the 6th or 7th seed. I think they're guaranteed playoff locks with that defense. I know we talk I can't hear you, by the way.
Guaranteed.
Oh. Okay, there we go. I can hear you. But no, I think with that great secondary, it's by far the best in the league, best safety duo in football. And I put money on maybe the best cornerback trio in football. And the crazy thing is they have depth. They signed Ronald Darby and Michael Jamu.
All right, guys. So slight change of plans. 440's Wi-Fi just is not cooperating. I mean, this is the world we live in right now with Zoom and, living through a pandemic. So, and living just 30 states apart from each other. So, for the rest of the podcast, we don't have too much more to talk about. We kind of, especially Picknspreads and I, we gave our thoughts on all the divisions. So now, I mean, all we really have to do just to wrap it up is just to give our 1 through 7 for the playoff standings. I have Picknspreads list right here on my phone, so I'm just going to rattle his off. I have a pretty good idea of what his thought processes, and actually we have like the same exact standings. There's one switch, but that's it. So him and I pretty much have the same thought process. Picknspreads and I'm guessing are going to disagree on some things as we have already, but we'll get into it. So who do you have as the 1 seed?
That one team that has the quarterback who sounds like a frog. Kansas City is going to get the 1 seed. Yeah, that one dude who can kind of throw the football kind of well. Yeah, Kansas City is going to get the 1 seed.
The one guy who you could give him the MVP like every year, like you could, and you can get away with it, but you know.
It's kind of like LeBron James. Should he get it this year? Yeah, let's give it to someone else.
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah, so 440's got the same thing. We all got Kansas City. That's consensus. I will say, after the Super Bowl, I would say like probably before the draft, before free agency, when we heard that Kansas City lost like all 20 of their offensive linemen, I was like, maybe the Bills are the first in the AFC. And I actually think I made a video saying that. But they built back the offensive line. And I don't know if it's better than last year, but it's pretty damn close. So Patrick Mahomes isn't going to have to run for like 5 miles in the backfield in the Super Bowl ever again. Kansas City is going to be really good next year. They're the 1 seed. Their offense can beat up on anybody, and the defense is good enough to hold them into football games. So that's all you really got to know about Kansas City. And the coaching, obviously, second best coaching in the NFL. So yeah. Moving on to the 2 seed. If you don't have them at number 1, you probably have them at number 2. Who do you have?
I got the Browns.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
I got the Cleveland Browns at number 2, man. I think it's close. It's very, very close between them and Buffalo. I currently in my rankings have Cleveland going 13-4, and I have the Bills going 12-5. It's insanely close, but I just look at Cleveland's roster and I just look at the potential it has. The fact that they have a potential top 5 offense and top 5 defense with how many new people are on that roster. I don't think they're going to be good right away. In fact, I'm about to post a video saying I think they're going to get blown up at the Chiefs week 1. But just because that roster is just so different, especially on defense. But I think that roster has the potential to even get the 1 seed. But because of Baker, Chiefs are going to get the 1 seed, but I think the Browns get the 2nd seed.
Yeah, and my reaction was a little too much because I don't think it's that crazy, honestly. Just to kind of give a little foreshadowing, I have them at the 3 seed. So I have the Bills at 2. 440 also has the Bills at 2, and he has Cleveland at 3. So
I think here's the thing. I mean, when you look at the roster, there's no question Cleveland has a better roster.
Yeah.
But it's just Baker, Josh Allen. That's the thing. That's the thing. And I think coaching is basically very close. I mean, Kevin Stefanski is great. Sean McDermott, fantastic. They're both about the same rank. I mean, I put in my most recent rankings, I put Kevin Stefanski at 9, and I put Sean McDermott at 8. So they're basically the same. They're the same kind of like.
I think Josh Allen, obviously, he had a breakout year last year. Don't know if he's going to build on it. I think he'll just actually put up a pretty similar year to last year. And people are going to actually have debates about what was better, 2020 or 2021 for Josh Allen. I think it's going to be that close. But to me, I just think the difference between Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield is so big, and I just trust Josh Allen a lot more than I trust Baker Mayfield. So that's honestly the biggest reason why I had the Bills at 2. It wouldn't take a lot of convincing to put the Browns at 2, though. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Same here with me. Literally, you could convince me right here that the Bills should get the 2 seed. I think it's virtual. Like I said, I have the Browns going 13-4, and I have the Bills going 12-5. They're basically the same. Like if you combine everything, they're so close. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, like if I go by schedule, if I go game by game, I don't know what I would come up with. I think I'd still have the Bills edging out. But again, I don't know. I really don't know. So moving on though, we got the 4 seed. I think I already know who you're gonna say, but who you have?
I got the Titans, man. I made fun of the Titans more times than apparently I can remember because someone posted a montage of people hating on the Titans, and I was in it like 3 or 4 times. And I know it was 3, it might have been 4, but I was in it a lot. So I've made a lot of videos hating on the Titans, but I don't think Julio's going to drastically change them, but I think it changes it. So it's enough for them to be slightly better than the Colts. But like I said, it all depends on Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, I would say, is definitely like one of the top 5 biggest wild cards in the NFL. I mean, we have no idea. He might be the number one, honestly. We have no idea how he's going to perform. But at the end of the day, I think that the stability of the Colts as a whole is just going to outweigh the instability of Carson Wentz, and I think that the Colts are still. I still think they're the team that's going to take the division. I like their coaching a lot. I love Mike Vrabel, but I really like Frank Reich, and I think that he's a guy who's willing to take a risk. The defense is just lengths ahead better than Tennessee, and they're bringing back the same group. And we've seen time and time again that when teams bring back the same group and they're able to have that chemistry, they normally perform well, and they perform well early. The thing that does scare me about the Colts, their schedule, they can realistically start off the season 0-5. That's
I saw their schedule.
That's not a stretch. Just to rattle it
No,
off.
I saw the schedule. I mean, Seattle's week 1, if I recall.
Seattle 1, Rams 2, Tennessee 3, Miami 4, Baltimore 5. I mean, that's brutal. That's a brutal start to the season. And when you're Carson Wentz and you just went from a team that clearly didn't have any faith in you, going from that and then starting out 1-4, 0-5, that definitely is not good for your morale. And I know I'm kind of talking myself out of my decision on putting them as the 4 seed, but overall, taking schedule out of it, because I don't like making my decisions strictly on a schedule, because there are better ways to assess a team. Strictly just off their roster and off of how I think players are going to perform next year, I think the Colts are the better team. Again, Titans have a much better offense, but I think defense means more than offense, so that's why I have the Colts better.
Yeah. Also, real quick before we go into the wild card spots.
Sorry, 4 seed for 40 is Indy. If
it is Indy, okay. Before we go into the wild card spots, I'm actually gonna say this real quick. I think only one team in that division gets 10 wins, just because that division has to play the West. And I know I'm a Cardinals fan. You guys know this that follow me, but I mean, come on, guys. You cannot sit here and tell me that there's a bad team in the West. Every single team in that division could make the playoffs for all. Like, let's say the entire NFC just does bad. It's not crazy to say that the whole West can make the playoffs just because of how talented that division is. So whenever you have to play the entire West, that's a problem. And I think for the Colts and the Titans, they're going to lose maybe 3 games out of those.
Yeah, I could honestly see that. I really could. Definitely a possibility. So for 40, we're going to kick it off with him for the 5 seed. So for his number 1 wild card, he has Baltimore. So do I. I think Baltimore is the best team that won't win the division just because Cleveland's just that good. And obviously you believe in Cleveland a lot. But if we're all consensus there, then no reason to talk about it.
I mean, Lamar should be back to normal. He has Rashad Bateman, and everybody that follows me know how much I love Rashad Bateman. I think Bateman might be better than Smith. Like, that's how much I love Bateman as a prospect, and I think he could be fantastic for Lamar.
Yeah, I think that Bateman will have the better rookie year just because of the offense. I mean, Devontae Smith's going to Philly.
Yeah, so, better quarterback. Jalen Hurts sucks.
He's done. So I liked Rashad Bateman in his rookie year more than I liked Devontae Smith in his rookie year, but we'll have to see. Moving on to the 6th seed, though, who do you have?
I got Denver. Getting the 6th seed, man. I got Denver going 10-7, getting the 6th seed.
Right, well, I don't have that. I have New England in the 6th seed. Oh man. We already look. I don't want to rehash anything that we've already discussed earlier because that's just unnecessary. We both know where we stand on that, and for those of you at home, I hope you've assembled some sort of opinion, and maybe either Picknspreads or I, one of us maybe aided you with your opinion. Probably mine because I tend to be right a lot. But anyway, look, Denver is one of those teams where I could honestly see them going 10-7. It'd take a lot of stuff to go right. It would take Drew Lock to just have a Josh Allen-esque year, or just one of those years where he just pops out of nowhere.
That's the talent too.
We've seen crazier things happen.
I think Drew Lock is talented. I'm real quick. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I think Drew Lock is talented. Nobody accepts it. Can we both agree? Lock is talented. He's just stupid. He's just very stupid.
Yeah.
His footwork is horrendous.
And
he makes awful decisions all the time. What's up?
You know what's good for that?
Huh?
Coaching. But what do the Broncos not have? They don't have coaching. So it's really hard to fix that. What do you do? Yeah, look, Denver, I can see them going 5-12. I can also see them going 9-8. It's a pretty big range for me. I had them going 7-10. If everybody's healthy, which again is a kind of a big if because they had so many injuries last year, 8-9. But again, that's just about as far as I'd like to go in Drew Lock's current state. So I have New England at 6. Just plain and simple, when I was doing my standings, I just looked at the remaining teams after Chiefs, Bills, Browns, Colts, Baltimore, and I just said, who's better than New England? And I just couldn't find anybody. So I put New England at the 6th seed. Regardless of how Cam Newton plays, he's going to be better than last year just because of, the additions that they have. I do think Mac Jones will start at some point, whether that's 2, 10, 16, I don't know when, but he will play at some point, I do believe. And I don't think he'll have like a crazy year. I really don't. I know I'm a biased Patriots. No, I'm not even that biased. I think I'm a pretty rational.
No, you never say anything crazy.
I don't think
people are gonna say "Why Miami is so much better than New England," but not really. No. Like I said, it's a base. They're that close. You could convince me that the Patriots are going to make the playoffs. You really can.
No elite takes, right? Elite takes, huge Dolphins fan. I'm a huge Patriots fan. We debated last week about the Patriots and the Dolphins, and both of us agreed these teams are extremely evenly matched, not only in just overall capability and overall just record and skill, but just an overall how they match up. Both have good defenses, both have uncertainty at quarterback. Both have promising offenses, both have good coaching, both have, okay run game, even though Damian Harris is awesome. Anyway, both have, kind of similar, strengths and weaknesses. It's that similar. It's that down to narrow of a line that we're really, walking here. So this will be a, 1 game gap, I think, between the two. I think one of these teams goes 11-6 and the other goes 10-7. To me, I think that New England goes 11-7. 11-6. And they're the team that sneaks in. But look, I could see all 3 AFC East teams sneaking into the playoffs. I really could see that.
Yeah, that's not crazy to say. I could buy it.
Yeah, so 440 has Tennessee at 6. I have Tennessee at 7. So that's the only flip we had. So he had New England at 7, Tennessee at 6. I had New England at 6, Tennessee at 7. So that's the only change that 440 and I had. Both very similar. What do you have at 7?
Okay, so I mean, you guys already heard me say, I think only one team in that division is going to get 10 wins. The AFC South, I think only one team is going to get 10 wins, and whichever team does is going to win the division. I have the Dolphins at the 7th seed. I think them, like I said, Dolphins, Pats, basically the same. You could convince me in 2 minutes that the Patriots are better, then I'll put the Patriots. Or I don't know. I have the Dolphins currently, but they're basically the same.
Yeah. That's really all I have. That's all I got. I've got nothing else to add. So just to recap one more time, my AFC standings are Chiefs 1, Bills 2, Browns 3, Colts 4, and then for the wildcard teams, I've got Baltimore 5, New England 6, Titans 7. For 440, he has the basically the same thing as mine. He has Kansas City 1, Buffalo 2, Cleveland 3, Indy 4, Baltimore 5, and then he has Tennessee 6 and New England 7. And Picknspreads, your top 7.
Once again, I have Kansas City 1, I have Cleveland 2, Buffalo 3, I have Tennessee 4, I have Baltimore 5, I have Denver 6, and then 7 I have Miami.
Yeah. Nothing too crazy except for Denver, but that's the only crazy thing that Picknspreads said this podcast. That's it. I think last time I tried convincing that like Stephon Gilmore was the best cornerback in the league last time you were on the podcast, which was months ago. So
Yeah.
we're always prone to have one bold take on the podcast. And that's honestly what makes the podcast fun. If it was just us going around and saying, oh, the Chiefs and Bucks are gonna go to the Super Bowl, then it'd be pretty boring. So we have some bold takes here and there. But Pick and Spreads, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Really wish the 440 could spend the full time, but obviously his Wi-Fi just didn't really allow for that.
Yeah.
But as for the rest of the podcast, that's going to do it for us today. All the socials will be linked down below. Pick and Spreads. TikTok is insane. I think you just hit, 14K?
Yeah, I just hit 14K yesterday.
Let's get to 15K. And that's all I got. All the other, socials being linked down below. My podcast is starting back up within the next few weeks. Going to have a ton of guests on that. 440's podcast is always going once in a while. I'll link all that down below. And
NFC soon. NFC soon.
NFC, yes. NFC, yes, that's right. Oh my God, I almost forgot. Completely forgot. Yes, NFC standings will be recorded probably tomorrow and be up the week after the next. So that's all I got. Very long outro, but there you go. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again for coming on.
Appreciate it. Thanks.